A group of Pike River families who have unveiled a new peer-reviewed plan for what they say is a safe re-entry of the mine, drawn up by two British mining experts. We heard from one of them earlier in the program. And in a break from previous responses, the government says it's willing to consider the proposal and meet with the families. New Zealand First Leader Winston Peters is so confident in the expert advice that he's offering to be part of the first party back in. Emile Donovan has been looking at this for us.
The experts, David Creedy and Bob Stevenson, propose pumping nitrogen gas into the mine through an underground pipe, thereby pushing up the methane gas that currently fills the mine. The methane could then be released through external boreholes, and the process would then be repeated, with fresh air being used to push out the nitrogen. Dr. Creedy says the approach is ultra-safe and easy to monitor.
This would all be done in fresh air. And the fresh air will be there before any people went underground. And this is no different than the process that the solid energy engineers were going to do. I mean, they did a really good job. And if they'd have been left to get on with it by the board, I believe we'd have had a satisfactory resolution now.
The plan was unveiled today at Wellington Cenotaph, next to Parliament, with around 60 people attending, including some victims' family members. The leaders of three opposition parties, Labour, the Greens and New Zealand First, all spoke to the crowd, with Labour leader Andrew Little promising to walk the walk if Labour gets in office.
And I promise you, when we are the government, one of the first things we will do is make sure we get an expert to look at it, and if it's safe to go in, we will back you to get someone to go in.
Winston Peters also threw his weight behind the Pike families, saying he's convinced the report is accurate.
I'm that confident in the expert advice that you have that I'm offering to be on the first party back in.
The spokesperson for some of the Pike families, Bernie Monk, says Solid Energy should hand over the mine to an independent body.
It doesn't have to be state-owned. I'm quite prepared to set our own trust up and do it ourselves if that needs to be. But we need the government's support here. We need the government to pay for this. So, we have to obviously take the government on board.
The Prime Minister, Bill English, says he's willing to meet with the families, though not today. But Environment Minister Nick Smith says the government's willing to sit down with the families and hear out their case.
It doesn't detail the methodology that would be used. It doesn't have approval from WorkSafe that would be required for any re-entry. But I do want to give the courtesy of carefully looking at what is being proposed to see whether there is potential for any discussion.
Any timeline on that sit-down is still up in the air. But Bernie Monk says he's always willing to make time for the Prime Minister.
He's willing to meet eventually, but it won't be today. But I'm reassure you I'm here tomorrow as well if he wants to come and meet me.
For Checkpoint, ko Emile Donovan, Tēnei.